Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for Medicare on Mondays with the Medicare Whisperer, Grace Marie Haran. Today's topic is going to be advanced funeral planning and the advantages of preparing your funeral arrangements. My guest today is Anthony Caponia, Funeral Director of Gutterman's Funeral Home and James Romanelli Stevens Funeral Home. Thank you for joining me, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Very important for older adults to be proactive and handle their advanced care planning as much as possible. So pre-planning for the funeral is actually a gift to their family, and it ensures everything you want when you pre-plan your funeral. So today we will discuss the different types of funerals that you can pre-arrange. Anthony, you want to explain irrevocable and revocable?
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. This is a topic that a lot of people don't want to discuss, but it is part of estate planning. So a lot of times when attorneys or people like yourself are with families and they're doing their will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, are actually mentioning to do the funeral pre-arrangements. And there's basically two types of arrangements. One is revocable funeral pre-arrangements, and that would be, say, if yourself or myself would be doing an arrangement to pre-plan the funeral. It's completely revocable at any time. If you wish to cancel, you get all the money back plus the interest, no penalty. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes a family will move to another state and they're not going to have the final resting in New York. So they'll set up a revocable in New York, and then they'll decide to move. They could revoke it, get all the money back plus the interest, there's no penalty, and then they can set up a new arrangement wherever they move to. If it's California, Florida, they can set it up. So there's no penalty. The other type of arrangement is an irrevocable arrangement. That's where people are applying for Medicaid. And Medicaid allows you to prepay for the funeral arrangements ahead of time. So what happens is the applicant would be doing their own pre-arrangements. But since January 1st of 2011, Medicaid also allows the spouse of the applicant. In addition to that, the applicant's siblings, parents, children, including stepchildren, adoptive children, and all their spouses are allowable to do their pre-arrangements too. So you are able to protect a lot of assets, for the individual applying for Medicaid. What is allowed is anything funeral related. So that would be for the service, the casket, the monument, the flowers, the cash advance items are also allowable expenses. That would be the grave opening, the clergy, the death certificates, pallbearers. If you're doing a tahara, if you're doing the shomer, which is the watcher, those are allowable expenses, and you are allowed to prepay for those too, including the cemetery. The funeral home does not do cemetery sales or anything like that, but it is an allowable expense. I would recommend, of course, people like yourselves, myself, to do the final resting too, because you're locking in the charge when you do the cemetery. With the pre-plan, you're locking in the funeral home charges. Anything that we control is a locked-in cost with the interest that's accrued. The only thing not guaranteed is the third-party items. That would be the things I mentioned before, the grave opening, the clergy. It will earn a little bit of interest, but at the time of passing, the current charges will be applied, and then if there is a difference, the family is responsible for those things. But that's usually the minority. The majority is locked in now. It's a mouthful, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. More information, better. And the benefits of locking in the funeral charges that's one of the benefits, you lock it in.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the fees.
And I can guarantee you, those fees are not going down. The funeral expenses always go up, just like anything else.
Mm-hmm. And you get to choose everything the way you want it.
Yeah.
So you can choose how many days you want it.
Yeah.
And everything you want to have at the funeral.
Literally from the prayer cards, the flowers. You can put the script on the flowers. You can decide that. The type of flowers. I've had people spend more time on the flowers or the prayer cards than they do on the actual service. If they wanted a graveside or chapel, you know, that's easy. But the little things where, you know, you can have a family, you know, get a lot of stress just trying to pick a simple thing out. It's relieved. It's done, and it gives the actual person who's doing it a sense of relief also, that they don't have to worry
To do that.
about, yeah.
It's a hard enough time to go through.
Yeah.
And then when they do that, the children don't have to worry about anything. Everything's kind of taken care of, and it takes the stress off of everything.
Yeah. I would say the biggest referral are the ones that the parents did the pre-arrangements. The kids make one phone call, and literally all they have to do is just say when they want the service, and then everything else is handled. All the information for the cemetery. If it's a society, we already have all that information to do the opening of the grave. It's all taken care of. Those are the people that call up like 2, 3,
Because it
4
was so
months
easy
later,
for them.
and they set up their own at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And this is, some of it is a tax write-off or anything? Explain how that goes.
It's not a tax write-off, but I believe the clergy you can write off, you know, when the service is handled. With the account, it is set up in a trust account in the purchaser's name and social security number. At the end of the year, there is a K-1, a 1099 for the interest earned.
Oh, that you make, okay.
Yeah.
To put applied details.
So it is applied. So what happens is you have to use that, give it to the accountant, or if they file their own taxes, just like any bank account, the interest earned, you have to file. The reason that the funeral home doesn't pay the taxes is because the funeral home, unlike other states, we have zero access to the account. So other states where they can access the account and use a percentage, the funeral home will pay the taxes, and that's all taken care of. But New York State, the funeral home has zero access to the account. We can't touch it. The other reason that the funeral home doesn't pay the taxes is because for the revocable accounts, the family can take all the money out, plus the interest, no penalty, and the funeral home gets nothing. So that's another reason that we don't pay the taxes on the interest earned.
Okay, good information. And if we decide or are considering relocating, what would we do with those?
So if you are relocating and the final resting is still in New York State, I would say leave the arrangements, keep the price guarantee on all the merchandise and services. The only thing is we would add 2 more charges depending how far away. The out-of-town funeral director. So you can always upgrade a pre-arrangement and put in the airfare from another state and the out-of-town funeral director. So if it's someplace close, like say New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, you know, oftentimes, you know, we would have one of our men or women do the transfer, but we would have to add that on for the mileage. If it's out of state, we would add the airfare, out-of-town director, and it's not that drastic. You know, like if it's Florida, usually the airfare is like $500-600. The out-of-town director is usually, you know, $1,200 to $1,500. If it's in California, then it would be a little bit more. You know, the California director may be $3,500, $3,200. The airfare may be $900 to $1,000. You know, around there. So if the family forgets and the time comes, it's not a big deal. We would just add those 2 charges and take care of it. So it's not as complicated as people believe. Now, if it is where the family decides that they're not going to come back to New York, then you can revoke it, get all the money back, and then I would set up a new pre-arrangement in the other state, because most states, I believe, would guarantee their charges, not the cash advance.
Right.
So it's always good. Anything that you can lock in ahead of time, and you can't guarantee anything more than funerals. I mean, unfortunately, we're all going to go.
Right.
Just enjoy the ride while you're here. You know, do it if you can lock in the charges.
Right.
So it is a good idea, you know, to set it up. If it's irrevocable, then if it's out of state and you're not coming back to New York, then you can set up an irrevocable with the other state, have the itemization and everything, the irrevocable terms, the paperwork, and then you can send it to Preplan, and then Preplan will cut the check to the other state's trust company or insurance, whatever they have. So it is portable.
Okay, good. Okay, so we just did the transfer, so we don't discuss that. So who will contact Social Security when somebody passes?
So the funeral home does contact Social Security. It is done online. We have to. I mean, you hear crazy stories where, you know, somebody's wheeling a deceased, and the truth is crazier than fiction. So that has happened where, you know, a deceased person's been wheeled into Social Security, and they're saying, I'm collecting for George over here, and the person's passed. And it was on the news. So.
Really?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. It's insane. So we have to, by law, notify Social Security. So yes, we do notify
You're the one
Social
that notifies,
Security.
so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And if somebody is in a plan for Medicare, when you have an Advantage plan and a drug plan, you do not have to notify them because the government is part of those plans. So they will automatically be taken out of the plan. But if somebody's in a supplemental plan, you need to notify the company and tell them the person has passed, or the plan will continue. So make sure you keep track of that. And tell your family members what you're in so they know they need to do that on your behalf. And if you're collecting Social Security, a family member will receive a one-time $255. Anthony explained the difference. You explained it to me.
Yeah, so a surviving spouse is eligible for the $255, and then also a dependent disabled child is also eligible for the $255.
And also, when you're pre-planning, or after you've done your pre-planning, or if you don't do your pre-planning, we can put you in a insurance policy. You can do a final expense policy if you want a small policy just to cover your burial expenses. You can do a whole life policy or a term policy, and this way you know the expenses are covered for when you're passing. And a lot of people are unaware, when you do a final expense, there are policies where there are no health questions. It's guarantee issue. So no matter what you have, you're able to get the policy. And they're small policies if you just want enough to cover the benefits, okay, for the burial. And Anthony, when you have a life insurance policy, what do they need to do? They notify you?
Yeah. What you have to do is you don't have the price guarantee, but it does help towards the funeral. So some funeral homes will take an assignment on the insurance policy. So we have to find out from the insurance company if it is assignable to the funeral home. We fill out a couple of signatures, and the family would just pick a selection of the funeral itself. Of course, current charges, and it'll be taken care of. If it's not assignable to the funeral home, then the funeral home does have to be taken care of at the time of the service, and the family will be reimbursed, you know, once the policy is claimed from the family.
And a lot of people use the same funeral home, right? It's pretty much you keep it in the family. So
Yeah,
they could assign it to them.
Yeah, what I usually say is if you have a relationship with the funeral home, you know, that's in the neighborhood, you know, give them a call. They'll be more than happy to help, you know, answer the questions, you know.
And this is another reason you should tell your children what you have. This way everything's in place and it's not as stressful when these events occur. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to thank Anthony for joining us. If you have any questions for myself or Anthony, the information for Anthony's contact and my information is always on the letter that comes with the podcast. So please look on there. You can either call Anthony or email him. The same for myself. And the next Medicare on Mondays, we will not be having one in the month of August because it's summer and everybody wants to be with their family and friends. So we will do the next one in September on the third Monday, and open enrollment is starting, the annual open enrollment for Medicare, and that's what we will be discussing.
So you save the best podcast for last.
Yes, yeah. The end.
The end.
All right, thank you everybody. Bye-bye.